Hi, this is Mackenzie, and welcome to my 6th grade social studies lesson. My social studies national standard is time, continuity, and change. Demonstrates an ability to use correct vocabulary associated with time such as past, present, future, and long ago. Read and construct simple timelines, identify examples of change, and recognize examples of cause and effect relationships. My social studies state standard is history, continuity, and change, 6th through 8th American history. Create and use tools to analyze a chronological sequence of events related to American history. The ELA national standard is 1. Students read a wide range of print and non-print to build an understanding of texts of cultures of the United States and the world, to acquire new information to respond to the needs and demands of society in the workplace and for personal fulfillment. Among these texts are fiction and nonfiction and contemporary works. The ELA state standard is used as transitions to clarify relationships, connect ideas and claims, and signal time shifts. The book that I was assigned was The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle by Edward Irving Wardis, better known as the author Avie. The book that I chose to do my social studies lesson over is called The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. This book is based upon the 1800s, where a 12-year-old girl by the name of Charlotte Doyle has arranged for her passage back to the United States from Liverpool, England, by her wealthy father on his merchant sailing ship. A questionable captain is in charge and leaves Charlotte to be accompanied by a rough crew. After one of the crewmen reveals that the captain has an evil side, Charlotte finds this out for herself. During this time in the book, one crewman ends up dying, and it leaves the crew to be understaffed. The captain then becomes demanding and is overworking the men. At this point, they rebel. Charlotte has then left her station from being a passenger to becoming a crew member. When the captain finds out that, after the captain comes across a bluebird, he notices that bluebirds represent that a hurricane is coming. Instead of trying to find the safest route, he tries to go through the hurricane because he thinks that going through the winds will actually cause the voyage to be a lot less longer. This actually results in a face-off because Charlotte and the crew feel as if the captain is risking their lives. They end up hurling the captain into the sea before the ship reaches America. Once home, Charlotte realizes the adventures aboard the ship have changed her as a person. The book ends as she sets off more adventures with her newly found home. Edward Irving Wardis goes by the name Avie. He was born in 1937 in Brooklyn, New York. When he was a year old, his twin sister called him Avie, and since then the nickname stuck. Two of Avie's grandfathers were writers. Avie's family transferred him to a smaller private school because he had a learning disability called dysgraphia. During school, he studied with a tutor who he credits his writing success. Later, he began to playwright for young people. Avie's first book, called The Things That Sometimes Happen, was published in 1970, and since then he has published 75 books. His book that is known, The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle, won a Newbery Award and a Boston Globe Horn Book Award. The appropriate grade levels for The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle are 6th through 8th grade. The vocabulary list I have chosen for this book is commerce, dirk, venture, momentum, reprimand, loathsome, compliance, demise, audible, recoil, cultivation, democracy, parliament, congressman, and voyage. The first activity that I would do is compare and contrast. I would begin by challenging the students with the following questions. Are there any jobs that men can't do, or are there any jobs that women can't do? I would then go to the board and draw 2 columns with the headings just for men and just for women. With this, I would ask the students if any jobs that they would list in each column. I would urge students to list jobs under either heading and to give concrete examples. I would help point out that back in the day, there were jobs that were associated with gender. For example, nurses or firefighters or even construction workers. At the end of that activity, I would refer to an article that supports a literature study called Gender in the Proceedings. After briefly summarizing the true gender roles in the 19th century that took place during the event of the book, I will tell the students that in the book that we are going to read about a girl who takes on a job typically only assigned to men. The second activity that I would do is sequence of events. In the beginning of the book, Charlotte's father gives her a blank journal in which to record her journey. Her father thought that this exercise would be educational. He promised to read the comments on the end of her trip. Charlotte boarded the Seahawk in Liverpool, England on June 16th of 1832. Throughout the book, Charlotte documents each event that occurred daily. The Seahawk arrived in Providence, Rhode Island on August 17th of 1832. This is exactly 2 months and 1 day after the voyage. During her short time returning home, she realizes her true home is actually with the men aboard the Seahawk. She privately finds a listing in the newspaper which the Seahawk will be departing on September 9th. That night, Charlotte sneaks out of her window to meet the men at the dock and tells them, "I have decided to come home." With this information, as the students are reading the book, I will have them document important information that correlates with events that occurred from their voyage from England to Providence, Rhode Island. The students will use this timeline to view true events that occurred during the 1800s when ships were set to sail. The first website I would introduce in order to support the literature study would be an article that supports gender roles in the 19th century. The book is primarily based upon the year of 1832. Charlotte is a young lady who had a maid and was not to get dirty in any aspect. During her voyage, she wrote about how to properly be a young lady. However, when a crew member is lost in a battle with the captain, the crew is faced with the only option but to work more hours than the limit due to be short-handed. When Charlotte observes this, she decides to throw on overalls and work with the men on the ship. The website correlates with the book because it distinctively informs the difference that women and men naturally possess. For example, the article states that women and men never dress in the opposite wear. Women were excluded from some occupations and activities, but were able to teach and work in sweated labor, which was work that took place at home. According to the article, which correlates with the book, men were expected to be violent and aggressive and more threatening. And this also correlates with the book because that's exactly how Captain Jackery had acted. The website I would introduce in order to support the literature study would be a book review over the book, The True Confessions of Charlotte Doyle. The book review provides information that builds on the book. The book review website provides authority rules from the characters and how they were held accountable in society. After the website book review, there are discussion topics that I could implement into small or whole group with the students after reading the book. These questions build onto the students' knowledge by incorporating critical thinking. The book ends with Charlotte running away from her parents and going back to the Seahawk, where she believes had become her true home. Some of the questions that are included from this site are: how do you think Charlotte's parents will feel when finding out that Charlotte has left? Charlotte feels leaving home is not right, but she proceeds to go. What do you think will happen once she gets to the dock to meet Zachariah? Do you think she will set sail with a crewman and be the new captain, or will she go back home? This information is useful for my purpose because it includes discussion questions and elaborates more upon the book. This will overall give the students a better understanding of the historical events that occurred throughout the book. This could also be an extension to the activity of producing a timeline.